everybody. Welcome back to The Hill is Always Greener. This is episode 3, and this is still a podcast about old Sonic nerds and the things we like.
Yeah.
I'm GameBuddy.
I'm RockTheJake.
I'm CyberLink.
And I'm Faulerro.
Thank you for listening and have a great day.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to say, that might be the most straightforward, to the point intro we've done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think, okay, what's a good transition into introduce ourselves and then...
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! Sashiburi.
Well, long time no see, fellas. Not really, but...
It's been a whole week.
How has everybody been? Has anyone had anything Sonic or even Sega adjacent since last time?
I've been checking out videos for Project 06, and as soon as I figure out like where exactly I can download it, I want to give it a shot because a better version of Sonic 06 sounds pretty fun to me.
I will hook you up later because it's something. Like, props to Chaos X for all the work they've been putting in on it.
Especially for somebody who has said he's never actually played the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you don't know, that's basically a port of Sonic the Hedgehog released in 2006 for the 360 and the PS3, ported to PC using Unity, I believe.
Yes.
And it's aimed to like polish up the gameplay and implement like cut ideas and a lot of I think he's mostly doing it on his own, and a lot of people are helping with side things. I know someone has restored like a ton of cut dialogue and like story, and that is the only way I would ever like voluntarily play that game again, because it looks really good. Like you said, Luke, we'll hook our buddy Jake up and also like post links to that in the description. Because if you've got any decent computer, it'll run it pretty well.
Yeah, it's a bit. It can get a bit heavy. Like I believe last version they put out there was like also a bug that would just cause it to start slowing down really harshly if you play it for like more than 45 minutes or something.
As someone who has completed that game recently, I'm sure regardless, it is a better experience than playing it on its original hardware.
Oh,
if they've made it acceptable, then that's a huge step forward for Sonic 06.
Yeah, currently the current version is all of Sonic's levels and all of Shadow's levels with, special unlockable bonuses if you manage to get all S ranks in both of them. So,
And I'm going to say right now that, I know there's a lot of people who unironically enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog on the 360 and PS3. And to those people, we're not taking that away from you. I know we're trying to have a positive vibe here on this podcast. It's just that game needed a little help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shamelessly steal from another podcast I like, but it's okay to like a game. But also, ...
It's also okay to realize where it has a lot of faults.
Yeah,
it is mostly faults, but there was an attempt.
But yeah, Project 06, great. Love promoting good fan projects, which goes right into our topic today, I believe.
it also goes into what I've been doing over the week. So, speaking of, fan projects, I don't know, have you guys heard of this? It's kind of an obscure game, Super Mario, some number at the end of it. I can't remember what it was.
128.
60 something. I don't know. I've never heard anybody talk about it. It's a little obscure. Somebody has made... Well, actually, technically, somebody made a ROM hack that is a combination of two other ROM hacks that I've been playing. It's a mod by two people, Thods and GameBuddy, called Super Mario 64 Sonic Edition Plus. So,
Ooh,
I love it already.
It's a combination of Thods Mario 64 Sonic Edition, which basically replaces with Mario with Sonic and then gives him like physics and moves from Sonic Adventure. So he can't do like the Mario 64 backflip or stuff like that, but he can like He can't do the like running dive, but he can actually charge spin dashes, do the bounce attack from SA2 to get higher. Just
cool.
Completely changing up the gameplay, and it makes a huge difference.
That's cool.
But GameBun also made a mod called Super Cream 64, which is all of Mario 64, but you play as Cream, and all of the like enemies and stuff have been reskinned to be Sonic characters. So like the Goombas are Moto Bugs, Bowser is Eggman in a giant Bowser mech. Stuff like that. It's like just full model replacement. It's really interesting. And so
that's in depth.
So Sonic Edition Plus combines the gameplay from Sonic Edition and all the visual changes from Super Cream 64 to create like this kind of best of both worlds scenario. And it's really interesting to go through a game that I know pretty dang well with a completely different gameplay style. And admittedly, it's one that's still a little rough around the edges. Like Sonic goes way too fast, so it's hard to like he's slippery, he moves super quickly, so if you want to do precision platforming, that becomes very, very difficult.
Sounds like a Sonic game.
Yeah, that's very true. But I spent probably like a solid minute just trying to land my bounce attack on the post holding the chain chomp in the first level because he's just so slippy.
That sounds really good, but I'm just imagining TikTok clock and like, oh no.
Oh yeah, no, that I tried just doing like the red coin mission TikTok clock is just the ones right there, and even with the pillars all frozen and everything, it's still incredibly difficult just because of the weird jump physics.
That concept as a whole sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. At least, try it out for a couple of levels. It's really a different experience, one that I think people should give it a look.
If you can get past the whole fact that it's a Mario game, essentially. And maybe some people listening to this podcast are like, Mario? No, thanks. And they've instantly unsubscribed to the podcast.
Yeah, those people look at Somari with disgust.
If you can hold your nose and play a version of Mario 64, then this one might be for you.
I mean, I want to joke like, oh god, who still cares about the console wars now? But I'm like, there's plenty of people out there who still take it to the heart.
You can really go down a hole on social media, especially people that think they know a thing or two about game development.
Or a warp pipe is the case, maybe.
Yeah, look at these. Look at these reused animations. I'm a smart person.
I think game designers should just make it good. I don't know why they don't do it.
So simple. Why don't they just make it good?
Just make Sonic run in a straight line. Come on, game developers.
It's the old DeVry Full Sail commercials. Like, hey guys, I need you to finish up here and then touch up those graphics on level 2.
Yeah.
What they need to do is they need to put Sonic in a realistic environment and have him run around. That's the solution. That's right, Sega. Yeah. You need to hire this man.
Oh, it's the secret word.
Well, Chris, did you have anything Sonic related this week?
Sega adjacent. I played lots of Yakuza. And that's probably a top... As we discovered before we started recording... Well, actually, even after we started recording, we could probably do a whole episode on it. And when I say we, I mean me, Jeremy, and Luke specifically, while Jake sort of sits in the corner, sort of like, yep, sure thing, guys.
We'll assign you some Yakuza 0 homework, Jake, if we ever do that.
I'm sure Jake will get to play it eventually, not least of which because I literally just sent it to his Steam library.
Ladies and gentlemen, he actually just sent that to me.
In real time here on this podcast.
We got him!
In the
Sting
message,
operation is over. Good job, everyone.
In the message, he says, Jake, crime game. Best wishes.
Yeah, have a fun time in the 80s. I'd recommend that to everyone who's listening. Great Sega game.
Gosh.
Do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan.
Oh, but not specifically don't do the coke in Yakuza, because you'll get in trouble and won't be asked back for a future time.
They'll recast you, and it'll be really awkward for everyone involved.
Well, Luke, thanks for the new game. I was about to make a joke about like leading on the whole I'm the youngest member here, like y'all talk about it while you put me in the corner and give me like two like what you give me like two wooden trains and a lollipop.
Well, that's the fun thing about Yakuza is I did not get into the series properly until Zero came out a few
Same.
years ago.
Same.
But that's like the perfect entry point because I think it introduces a lot of those characters very well, and then you can jump right into the updates they've done to Yakuza 1 and 2 and God, pretty much all the other ones. Which one did you say you finished up, Chris?
Oh, I just finished Yakuza 6, so
All right,
I'm way up there now.
The
What a
Kiryu
series.
story has reached its end.
Mm.
Yeah, and then next time I'm going to be playing a turn-based RPG, apparently. So can't say there's no variety in this series. For anyone who's like listening to saying, I came here to listen about Sonic.
Well, Sonic is in some of those games.
Yeah, he is. He's there. He's playable in some of them, kind of, in the arcade games. And also, if you like Sonic Adventure, it's kind of like that, except for there's lots of crime and cabaret girls. So, and if that's what you wanted from your Sonic game, then by all means pick up Yakuza 0.
I know our friend group specifically in the past has said that one of our pipe dreams is just let the Yakuza team take a swing at Sonic. Spin-off, main title, just let them go crazy with it.
Yeah, get weird with it.
Yeah, put the chaotics in there. Make all the side stories little cases they can solve.
I just thought about Junichi Kanemaru doing like karaoke as Sonic.
Oh man. Ooh, warms my heart. Oh my goodness. That man's got some pipes.
I'm imagining like Vector in a black trench coat with his foot on a motobug just going yada yada does it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Play Yakuza, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. It's Sega.
It is. But to get back to the topic, Lost Judgment, the Yakuza spinoff, has Sonic the Fighters playable, but also a bunch of Master System games poorly transitioned into. So, guys,
how about them 8-bit games?
Yeah,
That's our topic for this time. We briefly hinted at it last time, but around about the time we hadn't decided what we're going to do. But now we decided we're going to, because that's one I'm happy to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
So Chris is kind of the authority for this episode because I think that the rest of us really don't have nearly as much experience with the 8-bit Sonic games. And part of that can kind of be chalked up to the fact that they kind of weren't really a thing here. I don't know if you guys know this, but aside from the fact that the Master System was never huge in America, I believe Sonic 1 was the very last Master System game, and all they did was just import a bunch of copies of the UK version and stick a UPC over the sticker. So it's like not even changed for our version. It's just we got literally whatever they could get shipped overseas, and it's apparently one of the rarest Master System releases.
I was unaware. Yeah, from my own little research, I think it was actually Sonic 1, the Master System 8-bit version, was built in to like the last hardware version that some territories got, but not over here in the US. So that's probably why it was more familiar in other territories.
Yeah, a lot of kids over here would have, if they were getting their parents couldn't afford the Mega Drive, they would end up with a Master System with Sonic right there in the console, so baked in.
Meanwhile, we had to settle for Snail Race. Also playable in Lost Judgment.
And I don't think, I think the first time that I played the Game Gear versions, which are similar but different, we'll talk about that in a bit, but was those got released with Sonic Adventure DX, had a handful of Game Gear games.
Yeah.
Because I can only speak for myself. I never owned a Game Gear. I remember it was probably being a little kid at like a church or something, and someone had one, and I was like, wow, that looks cool. And also, he was sitting like right near the only power outlet in the room because that thing chewed through batteries like a disposal.
You needed to be there. You needed to position yourself by one at all times, apparently.
I definitely played the Game Gear version maybe once or twice when I was young, but that was only at like, a store demo kiosk or something. But I didn't really get to play it in depth until Sonic Adventure DX, as you said, which had literally every Sonic Game Gear game unlockable in it.
Does that one have both Sonic drifts? The first one
Yep.
that we never even got over here, period?
Yep, all of the Japan exclusive games were in that collection.
Yeah, some of those other ones are really fun too. I like the Sonic Chaos is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, Tails Adventure is another really it's an interesting one just because of how different it is from everything else.
I know. I think the most experience I have with Tails Adventure is the old Archie Sonic kind of semi-adaption
Yeah.
that got thrown in there in the later years, and tied all of the bird characters in modern Sonic into the Battle Bird Armada. That's a lot of fun.
I remember a friend of mine when I was a kid actually, if I remember right, he had a Game Gear and he had, I want to say he had Sonic 2 or maybe the first one. I just remember like picking it up for a little bit just because I was just like, this is a really big handheld.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember like one of the first levels. It must have been Sonic 2 because it was like I remember Sonic being in a minecart.
Yeah, that would have been the first level of Sonic.
Oh yeah,
2.
yeah, that's it. All right.
That's Sonic 2.
But I actually, before we recorded this today, I played a little bit of the first Sonic one on Game Gear through the PlayStation 2 Sonic Mega Collection Plus. And I was I was telling the guys before we started that I played it for a while until I got frustrated with the floaty controls.
Yeah.
It's that's a good way to lead into how they're their own unique little packages. Like they're not purely emulating the 16-bit Mega Drive versions, but yeah, they do feel different. The thing I noticed immediately is Sonic jumps like incredibly high. Like if you're counting like screen real estate, like he can jump like almost 2/3 of the way up the screen, and that does feel a lot different than I'm used to with the 16-bit ones for sure.
It definitely takes some getting used to because the movement doesn't work quite the same way you're used to from like the Genesis games, which obviously, it couldn't. There's only so much you can do with 8-bit hardware, but for what it's worth, I think it translates over relatively well with, given the limitations of the hardware. It feels a lot like running in, say, like the original Super Mario Brothers, where it's not quite as fluid as Sonic, but there's still room to kind of have that rough momentum-based movement in gameplay. And the fact that, it still works even with slopes is a step up.
I feel like the level layouts were built with those differences in mind. They definitely didn't try and just put that Genesis Mega Drive stuff in there because it would have been a lot harder. And I think, speaking of a lot harder, you talked about you played the Game Gear version of Sonic 2. I think that one is harder because it has to make up for, not only is it trying to still be a Sonic game, but it was also trying to put that, onto a smaller Game Gear screen. And man, just doing some research, like a lot of people will straight up call that like one of the hardest classic Sonic games ever.
Yeah.
You're not seeing stuff coming. Like there's no room to see like the hazards that are coming on the screen.
Oh gosh, yeah.
This is limited space.
Yeah, which is I think you would want for a Sonic game in my experience.
Yeah. And like, especially for my strategy when it comes to playing like older Sonic games is I tend to do a lot of, well, not a whole lot, but like a pretty decent amount of jumping just in general, just so I can like kind of be in a somewhat invincible state if I come across an enemy or whatever.
Yeah.
And since you can't really see a whole lot, there's a few times where I would jump and then I would just like fall into a bottomless pit because I just couldn't see it. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I need to be like a little bit more methodical as I play.
Part of the problem with that is that like the Game Gear one is the version that has been by and large the most accessible in the time since. Like you can get it through Adventure DX, you can get it through Mega Collection Plus, the Gems Collection for Adventure or for the second one. You can get it through 3DS Virtual Console. And like I think the only time the Master System versions of those games have ever been re-released was the Wii Virtual Console, which you can't get anymore.
Yeah, that is gone forever, unfortunately. I'm really interested. When did you first play these Master System versions, Chris?
I think it was like I played the Mega Drive versions first. I don't remember how we got our hands on a Master System, but it was pretty early on. And any new Sonic content for me was exciting. I think before then a friend had a copy because everyone had like. It was a lot more common to have Master Systems over here, especially, like I said, if your parents couldn't afford a Mega Drive. But yeah, I definitely played the new version. I suppose. Well, actually, when did they come? Wasn't there like when's the release dates in terms of Sonic 1 and on the Mega Drive and Master System? I feel like they were very close to one another.
Master System was definitely after, Sonic 1, of course, June of 1991. Master System, I'm seeing November of 1991, so a few months later.
That's some pretty quick turnaround. I know, like, games are made a lot faster back then, but they had to cram a lot in there.
I'm just going to be transparent and say that, yeah, most of my research is just the Sonic Retro articles. Shoutouts to them once again.
Yeah, I'm looking, and it looks like Sonic 2 was released at least the same month as the Genesis version.
I've seen some say that it was even before the Mega Drive version. So yeah, Sonic 2 8-bit is the debut of Tails.
Oh man, that's wild.
Well, it's a debut in quotes. Tails doesn't exactly get to do a whole lot.
It is his first game appearance, but yeah. He's just there to get kidnapped.
That brings me to like the nice little differences that are between the two. Like I could see where like we've said that they probably definitely wanted just, hey, a Sonic for this old system because we are pushing this character. But the differences between the 8-bit, 16-bit are like really make those 8-bit ones stand out as like unique games in their own. Like now this is just my own little headcanon, but I like to imagine that they either happen like concurrently or like right after the like the Mega Drive versions if you were trying to piece them together as a story. Like I definitely see like 8-bit Sonic 2 taking place right before Mega Drive Sonic 2.
Getting some Zelda timeline stuff up in here.
I mean, it's you could either look at it as two separate events or two different versions of the same story, which I think is what they're probably aiming for. But I do really like that it's a different interpretation. That might be due to the fact that they weren't like trying to completely recreate Sonic 1. Maybe they didn't even have enough material to do that. Like, I don't know what stage Sonic 1 was in development when they were making these 8-bit versions. It's like a new version of South Island in its own way, which you actually get to see. I actually like the fact that you can see a map of South Island where the game is set, and you get to see the progression up the mountain and so forth.
Yeah, those title cards are some of my favorite parts. It's a nice little jingle, and like you said, you get to see the island as a whole.
It's kind of funny for me because Sonic 1 on the Master System, there is an obvious fact that it's pretty obvious that it's worked on by two different teams. I think it was Ancient that made this one.
Correct.
At least the first one.
Ancient did the first one, Aspect did the second one.
Right. They had to work with teams that started with A and ended with T, apparently.
Yeah. Company mandate.
It's kind of like Sonic 1, but with like half the levels. You get Green Hill Zone, you get Labyrinth Zone, you get Scrap Brain Zone. But you also, like, you don't get any of the others, and in their place you've got, like, the incredibly, like, inspirationally titled Bridge, Jungle, and then a Sky Base, which is pretty cool, but...
Yeah.
I dunk on them, but they're very cool. I have a lot of fond memories of these levels, and maybe that's partly because of the music.
I think it is almost entirely because of the music.
Because I think it was Yuzo Koshiro who came up with the soundtrack for this.
Yeah, so Ancient was founded specifically to create this Game Gear game by...
Wow.
Yeah, by one Yuzo Koshiro, known for creating the absolutely stellar soundtracks of the first 3 Streets of Rage games.
I totally believe it because the soundtrack to these games are incredibly good for just being like 20 to 30 second samples.
Yeah.
A few of the songs taken from Masato Nakamura. I can do Japanese names. Masato Nakamura's Sonic 1 soundtrack, the title screen, the invincibility theme, the Green Hill Zone theme. Everything else is all brand new by Yuzo, and that includes like Labyrinth and Scrap Brain, and they're really good variations of the song.
I think I like the Game Gear Labyrinth Zone more than the Mega Drive version.
Well, it sounds actually vaguely threatening, which is the vibe I get from Labyrinth Zone every time I play it.
Yeah, it's my favorite kind of... I think there's a lot of examples of where they would do 8-bit ports for the Game Gear in this era, or the Master System, where... Oh, I'm not going to pretend I know how the musical process was, but, like, they just ran it through a filter to fit it on there, and it can sound really terrible. But these were obviously, even the ones that are supposed to be from the Mega Drive version, those medleys were done, like, from the ground up, like, to sound their best.
Yeah.
On the Master System's little sound trip, little sound chip, because they sound great. And the original ones, like I said, I could have sworn Bridge Zone has been the soundtrack to like my entire childhood, but I know it couldn't have been.
But it's good. Maybe it just like subconsciously connects to like the collective unconscious.
Yep.
It's like connected to Bridge Zone. Just nobody really knows it.
Yeah, I definitely think Bridge Zone is like the one track from Game Gear Sonic 1 that stands out above the others in terms of just immediate recognizability among Sonic fans.
When they did the little medley in the Sonic Symphony of those titles and Bridge Zone came on, like, I think I openly wept.
I think it's partly because we never expected to see, like, I never expect to see acknowledgement of those, because they are very much connected to my childhood as a British Sonic fan. And whenever we actually get something that references those, it's like, oh, I feel seen.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the 8-bit era, you don't see quite as much representation in terms of current day Sonic. And that's slowly starting to change just based on the different creative forces who are helming different stuff. Like, there's a couple of 8-bit Sonic nods in Sonic Mania, for example, like Hydro City, not going to settle on which one. That version, that in Sonic Mania has the like giant air bubbles from Aqua Lake Zone that Sonic loads up in.
Oh,
it's, same pose and everything. So,
and there's a little Silver Sonic in the Metal Sonic battle on Stardust Speedway of Sonic Mania. That's a nice little reference.
Yeah, and the transition from, I think, Flying Battery
to
uses the hang gliders from 8-bit Sonic 2.
Yeah, those are incredibly cute little details.
Yeah, and I remember now because one of my favorite arcs from post Super Genesis Wave Archie, New 252 as I call it, is the Champions arc, which was their Sonic the Fighters adaptation, and the backstory arc with Sonic meeting Breezy for the first time was
it's Sonic 2.
Yeah, it was mixed in with 8-bit Sonic 2. Like, it ends with fighting Silver Sonic in Crystal Egg Zone.
Wow.
Yeah, Scratch and Grounder and Coconuts fighting in Underground Zone from Sonic 2 on the Master System with Breezy there. It's just like, oh, my childhood sort of intersected in that moment, and it was beautiful.
That's part of the reason why I love like late era Archie so much, is that it's such a great sort of amalgamation of every era of Sonic and all of these different takes on it into one thing.
Yep.
Well, can I say my favorite little bit in Sonic 2, I think, is the original framing device that Eggman has kidnapped Tails, and poor Sonic is trying to rescue him the entire time. And that if you do not collect all of the 6 Chaos Emeralds, which I think in the Sonic 2 8-bit are still just strewn throughout the second act.
They are, except for, 6... The 6th zone doesn't have one, so it's just you get the 6th one if you find the other 5 and then beat Silver Sonic.
Yeah, it comes out of him, literally.
Little Silver Sonic was just holding it.
Yeah.
Or powered by it. Yeah. And if you don't do that, then, well, Tails, some could argue, is forever imprisoned and dies in Eggman's custody.
I mean, I'm just saying, in the good ending, you see Sonic and Tails running together. You see constellations of them in the sky. In the bad ending, it's just Sonic running, and then a ghostly image of Tails in the sky. I'm not saying nothing, but the implication being what it is.
I don't think it's meant to imply it, but I feel like most people got that bad ending because the game's really hard, so they just assumed, oh my god, Tails dies canonically in this game.
Well, I think you could assume that, okay, the bad ending is Tails has passed on into the Nether Realm, but the good ending is ensuring that together Sonic and Tails will eventually cross the Rainbow Bridge into Valhalla together.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I mean, you could also argue that either ending could be canon because Tails canonically cannot die, as we saw in Mega Drive Genesis Sonic 2. You throw him onto a pit of spikes and he just comes right back.
It's ensuring you that he's fine.
Exactly.
That's the result of what happened. Something happened to Tails, and now he's like Schrodinger's fox, and he can never die.
He is unobservable.
Also, I'm just sorry. Just the way that you phrased that Tails has passed, and my brain instantly filled out with.
Oh no.
That's what happens at all Sonic funerals, apparently.
Yeah. It's very awkward, but they've all gotten used to it.
Tails has passed Life Zone Act 1.
Oh. But that implies an Act 2, so, there's some hope there. We're getting into theology now. Anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Some would argue they're one and the same, but, that's a debate for another time.
Brian David Gilbert would certainly
Yeah, I did check. Yuzo Koshiro did not compose Sonic 2. That was Naofumi Hataya and Masafumi Ogata of Sonic CD fame.
Okay, wow.
Oh, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell when you get to Green Hills Zone. I have to emphasize the hills.
Yeah, something else.
It is different, darn it.
It's my original zone. Lean Blill's zone.
The hill has a mustache.
But yeah, that song is a little bit of You Can Do Anything from Sonic CD.
Yeah.
The Toot Toot Sonic Warrior part specifically.
Yeah, that's very clearly, a case of the song was already really good. Let's do it again. But I can't remember which one came out first. Yeah, Game Gear Master System came out first, so it would have been reused for CD instead of the other way around.
That makes more sense because it starts off the song with 10-10, here we go again.
Well, we do know that era specifically, it was a bunch of different teams, just whoever can get done first with a Sonic game, it gets released.
Yeah, it's speedrunning in games. Gotta go fast.
I do want to say, as I was playing Sonic 1 earlier, and later on when I was like kind of glancing through some long plays of the first and second games, I'm really impressed with like the power of the Game Gear with some of the like the animations for water and like we were talking about just now, like with the quality of the music and everything. Like I understand now the joke about having to be like plugged into the power outlet because like it seemed like that for the time it had some really good technology in it. And even though like when I was playing Sonic 1 there was some slowdown because just like a straight up emulation. Despite the slowdown, it seemed like things were still running pretty well and like things were tracking pretty well. There was like a few times where my jumps would have missed inputs and that was a little frustrating, but like I'm still impressed by like the power of the Game Gear back then.
The Game Gear was absolutely putting in work, but ultimately the thing that won out in the end was just the fact that the Game Boy's price could not be beat, even though it was like clearly inferior hardware.
Yeah, but then you could also like play it for more than an hour and generally be okay.
The battery life was another huge difference, but the Game Gear for what it was a very impressive piece of technology.
Absolutely, but it didn't have Tetris, so that worked.
Yeah, the Sonic Game Gear games 1 and 2 and the others are incredibly like good looking. I think like the funky aspect ratio aside, like the design elements are just incredibly charming. I love Sonic's little sprite with his little his spines are so much more compressed, but it's still perfectly recognizable. It reminds me of like some later titles like the Sonic Pocket Adventure, which also has cute little sprites.
Yeah.
It's one of those that, like, again, with the limitations, like they had to design everything around it being recognizable in a completely different format. And I really like how they look. Even the limited color palette looks really good.
Yeah.
Even if Sonic's shoes are orange, it's fine.
Sonic's allowed to have different.
Yeah, like even with the Game Gear sprites being even more kind of compressed and reworked compared to the Master System version, it's still like a good looking sprite.
Although Sonic doesn't have a nose.
Yeah, no, you're right. The nose is missing, but you gotta make sacrifices somewhere.
I am still very impressed by those ones, and I think one of the things I really enjoy is once you get to the credits scene of Sonic 1, you get Sonic like singing. He's like got a microphone. He's like karaokeing his way through the credits. It's like the only actual remaining asset that in the games of Sonic being having a band was in this.
It's basically that, and like I think there was a reference to it in the canceled Sega Sonic Bros. Arcade game.
Not to sound like a broken record, but these definitely are games I would recommend people checking out. Although I think the best way to check these games out, they're on a lot of different platforms officially, as far as like emulation. Like, we're not going to be precious about that. I'm not going to say you got to track down a Game Gear or a Master System. But my experience with these games preparing for this episode was playing the fan remakes by Creative Araya.
I believe that's how it's pronounced, yes.
Which is a game dev group that has remade Sonic 1 and 2 8-bit like from the ground up in a custom engine and added a whole bunch of quality of life changes, and including like some cut content, some zones from the 16-bit version to kind of pad it out into like a full-sized campaign, and lots of cool little features you wouldn't even think of, like the drop dash from Sonic Mania, because it's perfect.
I'm happy with that getting added to every version of new 2D Sonic games, because that's great. Yeah, they're really good remakes. They also add the emeralds now. You don't have to find them throughout the stage. You can find them in the special stages, as God intended.
Yeah, that was one thing we didn't really talk much about, is in the original Master System Game Gear versions, the emeralds weren't in special stages. They were just kind of hidden around the world in different places, which, on the one hand, I think it's cool that a Sonic game put a little more emphasis on exploration compared to most other Sonic games, but at the same time, I don't know, I just like the idea of having to unlock the special stage and really work to get that emerald.
Yeah, in the remakes it works like Sonic 1 and CD, where you finish with 50 rings and you can try a special zone.
Yeah.
Which is very nice, because the special zones are in those 8-bit games, but it's basically just for bonuses and extra lives, and they're actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a very different thing too, like, the bouncing on springs to hit as many rings as possible. It's a very different take compared to what we're used to, where it's, very traditional, get to this area with this many rings, either through the half pipe or like the bridge in Sonic 3D or Get Blue Sphere or whatever.
A bit more like the spinning stages in Sonic 1, I suppose, where you're actually seeking out the emerald.
Yeah, it's definitely more like that, where it's more about just reaching a point than it is trying to collect things along the way.
And dropping the emeralds in there with just like a little, I think it's like a 90-second time limit, is a lot of fun. Like I messed up a couple of times, but never thought like, oh well, that was kind of cheap. And it's easy just to grab them in the next time you go through. And the remakes especially play super well. Like there's all kinds of options, but they have like its full widescreen support, and it scales perfectly well. And yeah, they've added in that 7th pesky Chaos Emerald, so that there are like, that's how you get the true ending and unlock super forms and all kinds of stuff like that. Like in the first one alone seems to be very, very much based on like Sonic Mania. There's straight up an encore mode you can play through where you shuffle through the playable characters. I think it's Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Mighty, and Ray, like Mania Plus.
Yep.
Sonic 2 remake, but old design Amy is in there too.
Yeah. The Sonic 2 one is almost like they decided to make it like almost its own little game experience. Like all the zones and features from 8-bit Sonic 2 are there, but instead of framing it around Sonic's rescuing Tails, but you don't actually ever get to play as Tails, I think it's Eggman has stolen the Master Emerald.
Yes.
Why not?
And so you team up with teams of two characters to play through the zones, and you can switch between them with just a button pressed. And they kind of stick to a speedy character and a character that can fly. And so you have pairs like Sonic and Tails, and then Shadow and Metal Sonic, Amy and Knuckles, and then Mighty and Ray. And then I think, spoilers, if you finish the game with the good ending, you unlock Espio and Vector as a team. And it's, again, it's just incredibly polished. And I think they've released an update for both the games like fairly recently. So they're still tweaking things and working on other projects. But man, yeah, if you aren't interested in these games, I would say give these remakes a shot regardless, because they are a lot of fun.
I believe those versions also have multiplayer with Wi-Fi support, which is a wild thing for a remake of a Master System game.
Yeah, and they seem like they run on just almost anything.
Yeah,
I know it's Windows. I think there's a few Linux ports, Mac, even Android.
You get it on PS Vita.
Yeah, Linux is coming soon, but you can run it on Android, Windows, and PS Vita, of all things.
Yeah, why not?
Vita means life.
Yeah.
There's still some there if the fans have their way.
It's very cool that they just straight up have like I think they call it the SMS Remake game engine for if people want to use that for other projects. And I think they have some other things in development, like their own like 8-bit Sonic 3 sequel, not sequel. It seems to be more bring in a bunch of other Sonic characters, and a cool little game I'm going to have to try called Sonic Moon, which is Sonic like summoning the powers of the Sailor Scouts.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and it's all in 8-bit style. Why not? Let's go for it.
Man, Sonic fans are wild but they're making so many great things, and I'm glad they're not letting these games like pass away into the distance. They don't want these games to take the same fate as Tails and Sonic 2.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely one of those to where I don't want to like dog too much on Sega as a company, although I do wish they would preserve stuff like the 8-bit titles a little bit better. Like, hey, if they're looking for nice little extras to put into that Sonic Origins collection, toss these in there.
Yeah,
gummit. But also I'll commend, like, Sega has been pretty cool with fan stuff like this. Like, they are not sending their army of lawyers to shut this down. And so, as long as they stay cool with that, like, they're not, I wouldn't say let the, fans do work for free or as far as stuff goes like that. But, as long as they just let it sweep under the rug, and then, awesome stuff like this can exist.
I like to hope that Sega is sort of like watching, like, okay, we need a new game for the next anniversary. Let's see what the fans are coming up with this time.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why stuff like this is so important is, a lot of times if we don't, like, I think it's important that these games be preserved in such a way that, we can continue to have them available for newer fans to discover. Because obviously, new Sonic fans are born every day. I know that sounds terrifying, but it's the truth. And,
whether they want to be or not.
Exactly. But I think it's important that we be able to have games like this available for those new fans to discover, both in their original form and, acknowledging that, hey, for as good as these old games are, we want this or that or whatever to be changed. So I'm glad that for the most part, these games are still available in both their original and in modified forms to help make it more palatable for these new fans so that they can experience what we did back in the day without having to necessarily put up with the same level of frustration because of hardware limitations or whatever have you.
Accessibility is definitely the key.
Amen.
I think I know it's easy for a lot of folks who grew up gaming like we did to just think like, oh well, kids these days, even a couple years younger than us, aren't going to be interested in old Nintendo or Sega, but I definitely think they are. I think younger generations are very curious about the history of games. It's something that has evolved so quickly in just the going on 4 or 5 decades that it's been a concept in the world that kids definitely are interested in this stuff.
I don't think retro games ever really go out of style anyway. Like, there's always going to be some brand new game that sort of like reintroduces people to 8-bit or 16-bit or whatever style of sprite-based games, and that's going to make young people more interested in seeing these oldies.
Yeah, and I think that I think Sega is, they're not always good at keeping the games available for people to play, but they're at least, still keep them at least somewhat in the public consciousness. So like, they just put out that Sonic Encyclopedia, and that's got listings of every game ever made for Sonic, except I think Pocket Adventure. But, it's a way for these newer fans to discover, hey, there's these whole other worlds of Sonic that you might not have been aware of previously. Go check them out because they are every bit as valid as the stuff that you're playing today.
I just can't believe they were like, hey kids, did you ever hear about Sonic Chronicles?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
One thing that I don't think we talked as much about is that I love how many sort of little gimmicks there are, especially in Sonic 2, of just different stuff that happens in the stages compared to most traditional Sonic games where there's not a whole lot of alternate kind of gameplay things. But it's like Sonic 2, you have the mine carts, the hang gliders, the giant air bubbles, just a lot of other different kind of things to interact with compared to just run right, avoid obstacles. I appreciate that they are willing to mix it up so much in these games. I think that goes a long way to helping the games establish their own identity.
Yeah, it really is amazing now to realize how much of possibly my favorite Sonic game in the past decade, Sonic Mania, took inspiration from these by having the little mechanical gimmicks in some of the acts. And that's just awesome. I love that. I am learning new things about some of my favorite Sonic stuff by revisiting these older titles.
Yeah, I'm glad for the accessibility that we're getting for these games, because obviously, as Americans, you didn't have much accessibility for these for a long time. At least the Master System versions of the game. So, getting a chance to actually play them. One thing I will say is there have been these aren't. We're talking about 2 titles, and we're specifically talking about ones that were Mega Drive games as well. There's also like Sonic Chaos and Sonic Triple Trouble as like other examples of platformers.
I think Chaos might have actually gotten a Master System release.
I believe so.
I think so. And Triple Trouble was definitely Game Gear only, as far as I know. But Sonic Chaos is kind of like Sonic 2 too, and it's a pretty decent one. But this is just me being nerdy, and you'll have to excuse me for this. But Sonic 1 on the Master System, Sonic 2 on the Master System, and then Sonic Chaos, the setting for all of those games is South Island, because I guess they couldn't think of any other ones like the other games were doing. So when I was coming up with stuff for my Sonic fanfic, where I was like, okay, South Island, that's where Sonic 1's set, right? Nope! So now I've got to find a way to stick all these zones in. It's just kind of fun that they decided to lump everything in one place. Anyway, that's it. That's just me being a nerd. So...
No, I live for that kind of stuff too. Like I said earlier, I'd like to figure out in my head if these and the Mega Drive games were one continuous story, where would they fit right in? That's just fun. Well, this has been a very pleasant discussion on a couple of games that I was not personally familiar with until now, and definitely would slot them into some of my recent favorites.
Me personally, I'll have to go out and I really want to play the remakes after like watching videos of them and playing the first game a little bit on the PS2 through the collection, because those remakes look fantastic.
Yeah, it's the superior experience for you.
And Luke and we were talking before the podcast, and Luke and I made the joke of like, for the Sonic 2 remake, it's like everyone's here.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us here on The Hill is Always Greener. I've been GameBuddy. You can follow me on Twitter at GreatJobJeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
I've been RockTheJake, and you can find me on pretty much all the socials at RockTheJake.
I've been CyberLink. You can find me on Twitter at CyberLink420.
I've been Faulerro. You can find me at Faulerro on Twitter. I'm going to assume you know how to spell that.
And as always, special thanks to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can find more of Amy's music on YouTube and Bandcamp.
I contributed to that album too.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really good. Go look it up.
Absolutely.
Maybe next time we can chat about, since, at the time of recording, Sega has completely gotten out of the arcade game business, so...
They're still making arcade games, they just don't have Sega-branded arcades anymore, which is end of an era.
To bring it all back around to Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about some arcade games. Sorry, Jeremy, whenever I hear the phrase Sega has gotten out of the blank business, I just get really sad. It takes me back a long way.
Oh, yep. It's happened quite a few times in Sega's history. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun thing, because I don't know about anybody else, but I had very little access to any physical arcades even growing up, so I have only put hands on some of these games through emulation or other re-releases.
Yeah, I've basically played more or less all of the arcade games through, MAME or whatever, but I did recently get my hands on I did get to try an actual cabinet for one of these games, so we will definitely talk a bit about that when we come back next time.
Something to look forward to, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Luke's actual experience with one of these physical cabinets, something I could never imagine.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
I guess next time we will be doing our deep dive on Sonic arcade games, but until next time, everybody, this zone's a little obscure, so you probably haven't heard of it before, but this is the Green Hill Zone. Look at all the green hills.
Oh. We'll never stop looking at it.
Never enough.